Shalom. Killshot. I'm going to show you a couple of drawings. Then I'm going to play a video. Then I'm going to execute a kill shot on the maker of that video. The dark triangle is how Globlings think. You have to perceive the world in order to establish angular resolution. They don't understand what happens is this central line is the horizon. You have one right angle, okay? But obviously, they don't understand this. They don't understand that this is ground. This is taken up with ground in front of your eyes, ground. We're talking about objects in the distance. If we're talking about objects in the air, you also don't need to do this. Because instead you can have this point of view, the red eye, with this horizontal line and a right angle, and you have the same angle here, and this is the angular resolution is based on this angle here. Okay, it's based on that. Okay, so the Globlings, they divide and her and oh, it's so complicated. It's this is all you need. This is what you're doing, dim dims. It's the same angle. Okay, it is the same angle. Okay, look, I'm going to hold them one in front of the other. Same angle. Okay. Now we're going to play a video, and well, you'll see. Where is it? Oh, apologies. I think I've laid things up. Window capture. Oh, 1 second. Let me set up a window capture device. I already set it up, but somehow it's not gripped. Apologies for this. Where is it? Oh, I might have minimized it. Oh, apologies. Sorry about that. Let me bring it back to here. Oh, wait, I have two. Let's see if it's this one. Nope, dagnabbit. I see these things. Close that, we don't need it. Close this, we don't need it. And just bear with me. I will sort everything out momentarily. There's something very strange going on with my system. My system's being funny. So, it's interesting to me. Where is it? Nope. It's got to be the most well executed kill shot ever. Here it is. No. Oh, 1 second. Where's the hope? There it is. I had minimized it. Okay. Now I can get rolling. And whilst we're watching that, I'll come and join you in the chat. My favourite part of all of this. Right, 1 second. This. Okay. I'm going to expand it. Correct it like this. Let's watch and enjoy.
That's stupid. The Dim Dim doesn't realise if he did it without doubling the size of the distance, it would arrive at twice the angular diameter.
Which is what he's looking for.
distance is x, let's make the distance x times 2. That's right, let's do that. You complete dim.
Well, Antonio, it's really no wonder you didn't finish maths class.
And now we're going to humour him. This guy, like Red's Rhetoric, they get a thrill out of working with equations. And we'll humour him, and then we will fish slap him with some truth.
If you can't follow the simple derivation of a formula. Don't worry though, I'll walk you through it again. Baby steps, pal. Keep listening, champ, you'll get there. So we start with the formula for this angle A in this right angle triangle.
Why? Why that right angle triangle? Why not a straightforward triangle? Why do this? You know, like I showed with the drawings? But that's the fish slapping, so wait for it.
Of arctan opposite over adjacent.
Ooh.
We want to find the full angle, so we need to multiply this by 2. We're looking for 2a, so we multiply the other side by 2 as well, which makes 2 times arctan opposite over adjacent.
Oh, that's thrilling.
Now we could just use this equation and it would work, but it would mean dividing the object's size in half every time.
It would mean dividing the object in half once. So I'm going to go back, because he's going to, without really justifying his objection, he's going to, well, object and then not object to executing the opposite action. Listen.
2 as well, which makes 2 times arctan opposite over adjacent. Now we could just use this equation and it would work.
That's right, it would work, but
it would mean dividing the object's size in half every
it means dividing the object size in half, okay.
time we ran the calculation.
Every time we ran the calculation, you only run it once, then you've got it. What are you talking about? But he's got a problem with halving it. He doesn't need to halve it, and we'll show that. Just like I said in my original video, calling this guy Dim. He doesn't want to half the size, because, well, that'd be halving the size, so doesn't want to half the size, which would mean halving the distance, and, you know, it's not very good for astronomy, making things appear closer, you know, mentally. So, let's listen.
So to make the opposite side equal to g, which is the actual size of the object, we need to multiply.
Oh! It doesn't want to divide, but he doesn't mind multiplying. Oh, that's interesting.
The opposite side by 2. But if we're multiplying opposite by 2, we also need to do the same to the adjacent.
That's right.
Otherwise, our fraction will not stay the same.
That's right. And if you'd halved, then you'd also have to halve the adjacent, wouldn't you? And then you'd have a plain triangle. A simple right angle triangle, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. Just like I showed with the 2 little drawings. This is how I'm going to fish slap you. And you're welcome.
It'll be unbalanced, Antonio, much like yourself. So we also multiply adjacent by 2. So now we have 2 times opposite divided by 2 times adjacent. This fraction is now the same as this fraction, and it's in balance. Now we can replace the adjacent side with r, because they're the same. Adjacent here is the same as r here. And we end up with the angular size formula. So 2 times the opposite over here, 2 times the height is the same as g there. 2 times the adjacent over here is the same as 2r down here. So that's how we have 2r in the formula, Antonio. Do you see? Do you understand?
I do.
That's just not true.
Well, it is, I'm afraid. But if you still don't follow, let's just prove it.
The problem for him is, so this is why he's not fully grasping this. He has one tower at the top triangle and another one tower at the bottom triangle. What he should really have is 2 towers at the top triangle and 1 tower at the bottom. That's what he should have. Or vice versa, depending which one he wants to use for which.
Let's substitute some values in and see if both equations come out with the same result.
Let's do that.
So we start with our right angle triangle. We have an opposite side of 10 and adjacent side of 20. We're looking for angle A, which is arctan opposite over adjacent. So substituting in, we have 10 over 20, so that's arctan of 0.5, which is 26.565. Multiply that by 2 because we're looking for 2 times that angle A, and that is 53.13.
Really, you're looking for angle A, not 2 times angle A. What you've done is half angle A. That's right, Dim Dim. You've worked out what's half of the angular diameter. Okay, now I'll double it. And you call that doubled. It's like, no, it's one angle, silly. You're bisecting that triangle, but it doesn't quite work. And, well, I will show you why. I'll show you why it's stupid and why it's misleading for you guys. And I'll show you with your own evidence. Okay? I hope you enjoy.
Now let's do the same thing with our angular size formula here. And now we're looking for alpha, which is that entire angle, which is the same as 2a. So we have g over 2r. G is 2 times the opposite side, which is 20. 2r is 2 times the distance.
Do you see what I mean about this guy getting a little bit of a thrill out of just repeating these things which he's never stopped to think about? And I'm going to show something so simple that is, well, what I knew at school, why I pointed out to the teacher that the teacher was talking nonsense. Okay? All of this that is being spoken is nonsense. It really is. It's like, here's an analogy. If you're making a simple ham sandwich, 2 slices of bread, some butter, piece of ham, there you go, ham sandwich. Or you could get 2 pieces of bread, do a little twirl, put some butter on, do another little twirl, take the ham and put it on, do another little, and that's, you arrive at a ham sandwich. To do the ham sandwich with the twirls is stupid.
Which is 40. And look at that, you end up with 2 times arctan of 0.5.
Oh.
20 over 40, Antonio, is the same as 10 over 20.
Oh.
So alpha equals 2 times 26.565, which of course is 53.13. So there you go.
Oh.
Maybe you should have listened to your teacher after all.
Oh, oopsies.
Maybe you should have questioned yours, Dim Dim.
Oopsies indeed. Now I'm big enough and ugly enough to admit when I'm wrong. And Antonio did point out a couple of things I could have done better. I could have used the exact distance of 30.84 miles rather than rounding to 30 miles. And I would have got an angular diameter of that restaurant at 0.053 degrees instead of 0.054. I could have measured the pixel width of the restaurant a little better than I did. And if I'd done that, I would have got 30 pixels instead of 32.
No, you wouldn't. You would have got either 28 or 26 instead of 32. But never mind that.
So let's see what difference that makes. So using the correct distance and measuring the pixel width to 30 pixels instead of 32, we get an angular size of 0.044 degrees. Still not far off the 0.04 degrees Antonio was so sure was far too small.
No, silly, you lost sight of what you're supposed to be showing. I said that line is too big. It is too high off the surface. That's what I said, not too low. Okay?
So what do you have to say about that, Antonio?
Oh, oopsies.
There we go. But wait, what's that? You've found another problem.
You think you're working that out, you dim-dim. But that's only about 3 miles away. She's only standing 6 foot above the water. Do you understand? You can't take the angular resolution of something at 30 miles away and say, and what would it be at 3 miles?
Not when you're trying to figure out the drop, Dim Dim, which is what that is. But never mind.
We pretend like this 30 miles is at 3. Do you understand? You complete moron. You just complete delusional moron.
Really?
Yes.
Antonio, angular size is a relative measurement from the viewpoint of the observer.
Don't tell Red's Rhetoric and Astronomy Live that. I've been trying to tell them that for the last maybe 2 weeks.
Something that's 1 degree 3 miles away is the same size to the observer as something that's 1 degree 30 miles away?
It's the same size to the observer. It's 1 degree. Size is a different thing. It's angular diameter. It's not really a size thing. It's dictated by the size, but something that's 1 degree at 1 mile has a very different actual size to something that's 1 degree at 50 miles. Do you understand at all?
The absolute size of those objects will be very different, but
That's
the
right.
angular size will be the same. So when we're talking about comparing sizes purely based on angular size, distance is irrelevant. Did you miss that maths class?
No, I didn't miss it, but considering that distance is irrelevant, why double it? You don't need to double it, but that kind of gives your brain an idea about distance. See, instead of proximity, it gives your brain the idea of distance.
2.
Oh, oopsies.
Oh, but wait, hang on. There's something else.
You don't know. We don't know. Is the Roger Centre compressed? Or is the tower expanded? Which one it is, one or the other?
Hang on.
Or it's both. Could be both. You know, could be compressed and extended. You know, compressed vertically and extended horizontally.
So you think there could be horizontal refraction,
Yes, I do.
making a restaurant appear wider than it is?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes.
If you know anything about atmospheric...
Wait a second. Poster X, you don't know the foggiest about light. Refraction is a phenomenon associated with light. It's dependent on light. You haven't got the foggiest idea about what light is or how it functions. How can I say this? Well, because you don't really understand distances, so your opinions about how light arrives at you, it's a bit wishy-washy. But more than that, because you're now going to show a video supposed to show refraction round a curve. Unfortunately, it's not just round a curve, it's round a curve and down. That's right, we can see the camera is angled up. You want to see how you can check? Just raise this to the top of the screen. You can see the curve on that circular piece in the foreground. On top of that, you have a cylinder. Wonderful. The camera is then angled up. Hey, why don't you angle the camera level, put the cylinder in front of it so it's halfway across the frame, so it's centered in the frame, and repeat the experiment. Let's see if light will climb up and round the cylinder rather than merely down. That's right. Why don't you do that? Because you're a dim-dim. This is how you fool yourself. But let's show it. I mean, apart from anything, you have to forgive the shakiness of the camera. You think, you know, that they might not have it shaky, but never mind. You can definitely determine it's angled up. So let's see.
Refraction, Antonia, you'll know that light bends towards a denser medium. That's why objects such as the Roger Centre can appear above the horizon when geometrically they shouldn't.
Wait. So what's the denser medium there? Let's go back, because he just slipped in a little sing. You see, Genefredo happened to have the readings. There wasn't the supposed density variation required to make light bend round a curve. Sorry. And it's not just density, it's humidity and temperature. It's not strictly straightforward density. So let's listen to him slip in. This is why that happens with that photo.
Refraction, Antonia, you'll know that light bends towards a denser medium. That's why objects such as the Roger Centre can appear above the horizon when geometrically they shouldn't.
Oh, because of the density in the atmosphere. But we didn't have those conditions in the atmosphere. Silly. She checked. She wrote it in the description to the video. She explained. So what's making it bend round, considering those conditions were missing? I'm going to explain again, because I know you like to skip forward the videos without really addressing all of the pertinent factors. Considering the conditions were not convivial for refraction, what made the light bend round the curvature of the Earth?
The light
Conducive, that's the word. Conducive. Oh wait, let's listen some more.
from it bends towards the cooler, denser air next to the water. Just like
The cooler, denser air next to the water from beyond the curvature bends down around to the observer. It's interesting, it's almost like it's a straight line.
in this test showing light refracting around a curve when the surface is cooled. This video is by Dan Joss. The link is in the description if you want to check it out.
You know, you can take a piece of wall and you can hang a painting, and then you can paint around the frame a very light grey coat, and then remove the painting and you have a clean patch under the painting. Because you can paint around the frame of a painting and produce a lighter square on the wall, it does not mean you have replicated what sunlight does. Do you understand the analogy? But let's go on to this, because I think the guy thinks he understands light.
So for this to happen to the width of the restaurant, there would have to be a horizontal temperature gradient from one side of the tower to the other.
Well, considering that the conditions were not conducive to refraction, causing those buildings and that skyline to bend round, considering those were not there, the conditions were not appropriate for light to bend round, and you don't understand how light is arriving at the camera, given that those conditions were not correct, your idealized conditions. What are you now saying about the width of the restaurant?
So a vertical strip of warm air with cooler air either side of it. Does this seem likely, Antonio?
Nope.
How would that happen, Antonio? And did you say yourself that horizontal...
It doesn't. How would that skyline make its way around the curvature of the Earth if the conditions were not appropriate for refraction? The conditions were not appropriate for refraction, so how did that happen? Go ahead and explain, Polster X. Make sure you explain that. Make sure you cover that. Otherwise I will come after you.
And vertical compression is different. Here, let me remind you.
The refraction of the astronomical horizon is...
You forgot to mention that the reason I'm showing compression is because you scoffed at the idea of compression. You forgot to address that. Now I'm showing it and you just kind of forgot that you scoffed at compression, remember? Oh no, that's got to irk you a little bit.
It's typically about half a degree. That means the usual compression is about 1/6 of the vertical size of an object at the horizon. We are discussing objects at the horizon. There is a compression. It's in bold there. There's a compression. Okay? Okay. So it does matter. Just to let you know, up and down versus side to side, it does matter.
Up and down versus side to side, it does matter.
Yes.
We're talking here about vertical compression, Antonio, not horizontal.
No. The vertical compression is there. It is not caused by refraction causing things to loom from behind the horizon, take up the same space as, well, the buildings reaching the horizon, but now they've got to squish the rest of the city there with no horizontal expansion. No, it's lensing. You've missed a great big part. I mean, we're talking 3-4 years ago that Rob Skiba showed it. You're really behind the times, dude. Things do lens, they do expand expand. They also contract. When they're expanding horizontally in predominantly. But sometimes you'll have these elongation and contraction vertically. I mean, you can look at any footage from long distance objects like spires and towers, and you'll see the reaching up and down, dim dim. You'll also see the expansion. In your own photo, you took a screen grab where you counted the pixels where it's expanded, you half-wit. That's horizontal expansion. Do you understand?
Vertical. And as you said yourself, it does matter. How you leap from vertical compression close to the horizon to horizontal expansion across a clear line of sight is astonishing.
Across a clear line of sight all the way to that city which is clearly there. Across that clear line of sight. Compressed. That's right. Not beyond the curvature, and the conditions were not conducive to refraction. Oopsies. Make sure you mention that in your next video.
Oh, oopsies.
Yep. So I'm getting close to leaving this one here. In a follow-up video, he decided to try and use the actual height of the Rogers Centre as a measure of angular size in the image, in an attempt to salvage this train wreck. As if he has some proof that the entire height of the centre is visible in that highly refracted image. We can see from this comparison of another Genefredo.
Highly refracted image? You mean highly compressed? Listen carefully. The conditions were not conducive to refraction. Let me say it again. The conditions were not conducive to refraction. Go to Genefredo's video, read the description. She gives all the details there.
Shot that Antonio happens to like, and a closer photo of the same scale.
Listen to what he just said. He's comparing these two images and he's saying a closer photo of the same scale. He's just got these two yellow bands dropped there arbitrarily on the edges of the top dome, and ignoring the fact that the bottom dome is obviously, well, the whole thing is smaller, horizontally smaller, not just vertically. It's just, but it's okay because I fixed this. Watch, I'm going to show you. Where is it? Let me, not here. I have it somewhere, just give me a second. Not here. Oh yes, I know where I have it. Wow. Just wow. Here. Oh, the poor moron. Display capture. Look. Dim dim. Can you see there's a building here? There's also another building here. There's a building here. There's also another building here. I could have moved this one out a little bit more. Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? Now this appears to match a lot more. But what the dim dim did, it just lined up the towers. I said, there you go, that'll do. Same scale. Like, dude, you haven't got a clue what you're doing. But now I'm going to go back to what I was showing because I don't want to give the game away. Is it here? Window capture. One second. Oh. Why do you think so?
The part of the dome
Alright, yes, there you go. Now let's listen to this dim dim.
we see is much less narrow than the full-size building.
Of course. You've got the whole thing much narrower. I just showed it by showing how I changed it by just, well, expanding it. Just make it fit the buildings to the sides. Yeah, just make it fit that.
And if we overlay them, we can see
Oh, this has got to, this is just like, I'll just show it. I won't say anything.
clearly that we're only seeing the top of that dome.
Oh, oopsies.
Antonio then tried to deflect by issuing me some random challenge about drawing the route of the China-Europe block
The word is drawing, not drawing. I'm sure you're, well, if not your parents, somebody has told you. It's drawing.
train on Google Earth and tried to replicate its stated length of 8,077 miles.
No, not replicate. Plot. Listen to what the challenge was.
Oh, oopsies.
Antonio then tried to deflect by issuing me some random challenge about drawing the route of the China-Europe block train on Google Earth.
Drawing the route? No, plotting. When we're talking about cartography and maps, like Google Earth, the correct word is plotting.
And tried to replicate its stated length of 8,077 miles. The only maps of the route I could find were like this.
Yeah, so go and do some work, dude. Just go and do some work.
High-level, simple maps which show nothing of the twists and turns that are bound to be part of this route.
Also, you might notice with this map, it's ridiculously huge. Eurasian continent. Look at how ridiculously large that is on that map. I mean, what the hell is wrong with that map, dude?
As it winds its way through mountain ranges and across varied terrain, adding to its overall length significantly. Basically,
He just said, but I don't know how many twists and turns it might do, but they definitely add to its length significantly. Look, it's an 8-mile long cargo train. It's not going to go through very windy, you know, turns. You complete dim. Trains, in general, are not laid to do lovely little loop-the-loops. They only turn really when they have to, including boring holes through mountains so they can go through the mountains rather than round them. Did you hear that? That's right, they're called tunnels.
this was a pointless challenge. But nice try.
No, not a pointless challenge, a difficult challenge, but of course you knew you couldn't do it because you can't plot that on Google Earth. Even if you had the routes highlighted on Google Earth, it would be too short. Sorry, dude.
But I have a friendly challenge for you, Antonio. No bet, no wager. All I'm looking for is an explanation. This is a video on my channel from a couple of months ago. All I want to know is how, if the Earth is flat, can Mount Erie overlap any part of Mount Rainier in this...
Yeah. First, listen, dude. You replicate Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens Peak, like I showed it. Replicate that on a flat surface first. Then, on a curved surface, make that video, and then I'll listen to the rest of this challenge. Okay, thank you. Now, we're going to go on to this. According to him, you have to have, well, that triangle I showed at the start. Oops, what the heck happened there? So, but we have some real things in the real world, okay? So we have, for side A, we're going to use this simple triangle, okay? See whether we have to double or divide anything, okay? 45.75 meters is the width of the restaurant. Now, the real, the real distance to that is 49,632 meters. Okay, so where would that go? That would be, well, edge B. So let's put that in there. Paste. Calculate. Oh, good gosh, look. Angle A, 0.052. Isn't that what you got? It is, isn't it? Did you see how I didn't have to half anything or double anything? Did you see? Do you see how you're an imbecile? That you didn't ask your teacher why he was telling you all of this about, well, you've got to double it, you've got to divide the object in half so you can have a right angle with two triangles on either side. And then you've got to, because you've halved that, you need to, well, really, you've divided it in half, but you're going to work out twice the angle, okay? So make the distance twice as long. You see, you don't need to do any of that. There's the actual distance. That's the size of the actual restaurant. 0.52 degrees. Wonderful. Now, what else can we do here? Oh, I know. We can see how many meters. Wait, am I displaying properly? Yeah. We can see how many meters something that's 0.042 at that distance. Okay, so I'm going to clear that. I'm going to put 0.042. Okay, and the distance, we need edge B. Let's see how many meters that would be. Calculate. Oh, look, about the height of the restaurant, just like I showed. Wonderful. Now I'm going to share display. And it will all make lots of sense to you, you poor delusional dim-dim. Okay, so, look, we have this photo. This is a second photo taken from the same location. Not a different, this means not a different location, the same location, okay? On a different day. This photo was taken. See how you can see the Rogers Centre much more clearly, and yeah, oh, you can't see the bottom. Oh, we'll cover why you can't see the bottom presently. But we have this photo. We're going to use this photo. And remember how I said to you, hey, dude, that's too large. Okay, too big. What you've got there. And with Miles Davis, that line, that yellow line, that's that auto level. It's too high. It's too big. Said, put the sun there and you'll see. So, here we have the sun. Now, it's slightly compressed, okay, because it was near the horizon. But it's okay. The width is not changed, right? You said, no horizontal expansion. Great, well, then we'll work with that as the degrees, okay? 0.52 degrees or 0.533 degrees, okay? I worked with both. Let's combine them and do this. Oh, okay, interesting, huh? It's a little bit wider than it is high. So it would be good if you took a rule, a measurement here, and then compared it with the height of the tower. Well, we'll do that. But first, we'll just make sure that the zoom, which you thought was full zoom, okay, we'll see if it's full zoom, okay. In fact, we'll see what the zoom was. Here's the photo of the city. And here's the metadata. Focal length in 35mm format is 1400mm. Wonderful, wonderful. That's the city. Lucky for us, Jenna Fredo is a genius, and she did this just so you could compare. Focal length in 35mm format, 1400. Same zoom. Okay? Is it justified to superimpose them? Yes, it is. Why? Because it's the same zoom. Okay, let's do that. Here we have, I did it several times. Let's look at this. Now, bearing in mind, this is the updated photo. We will then, once we've established things with this updated photo, we'll then transpose some of those things to the photo in question, which was the one from the video, the screen grab from the video. Okay? Brilliant. So let's take a look-see. Ooh, I placed this yellow line where you and Miles have it. Okay, just skimming over these buildings. This is what 0444 looks like. This. Can you see how that's... See how that can't be 0.42? Can you see? Sorry, 0.042. This, it can't be. Not if this is 0.044. Yeah? Have you got that? Okay, now let's go on to the next. Let's see. But this here, which is 0.44, if you grab it and you put it up there, it's about the width of the restaurant. Oh, looks like it's not going quite well. Because remember how the width of the restaurant was 0.053? This is compared to, well, the sun. Maybe what's happening is the sun is slightly extended. And in comparison, the 0.44 is not really 0.44. Okay? Don't know. I mean, you go and figure it. Now, what's this? This is the actual photo in question. What have I done here? Well, I've drawn the sun, the circle of the sun, the same as in the other photos. It reaches just the top of the tower and it comes down to here. Wonderful. And let's see. This is half. This is a 0.52. Okay, so 0.26, 0.13, and so on and so on. 0.42 is here. Can you see how that's not reaching the yellow line? This is your photo. So I came over to the side here and I placed it next to the arrow. 0.42. Looks like rather a lot shorter. Remember how I said the line is too high? That's too big of a degree. See, this is what 0.42 would look like. So the line should be lower down. Do you understand? And here we have, just for comparison, 0.65, which is here, 0.65. Just cut and moved it over. Now, what's this? Oh, it's another, pretty much the same, only this time I've taken the sun with the extension, which dropped lower down here, see? You know, the horizontal expansion, but never mind, we're still classing it at 0.52 degrees. Okay, and then I just went over to the side and here's 0.52 and here's half of that and half of that and half of that. Okay, that's 0.65. Let's see what 0.65 looks like versus that line. Interesting, good. Let's see what it looks like versus, oh gosh, it looks like the restaurant is horizontally extended to around 0.65. Isn't that peculiar? It's almost like it really is extended horizontally, just like yours truly was saying. Good gosh. Now, what do we have here? Oh, yes. Here we have, well, a comparison of the skylines. Obviously, the one on the right is much closer than the one on the left. Much closer as in about 30 miles closer, okay? The one on the left is from 30.8 to 30.82 miles away, something like that. Interesting, but obviously you can't see the bottom. You can see that you can't see the bottom of the Rogers Centre. Why would that be? Let's play this little video I made. Forgive the narrow format. It's because of the photos. So, I'm just showing, comparing. Interesting. Comparing the towers. Good gosh, it's almost like the height is the same, but the picture on the left, wait, I'm going to go back. It looks like the restaurant is much wider. Watch. Oh, can you see how the restaurant is much, much wider? But the buildings are about the same height. It's almost like there's some kind of, I don't know, horizontal extension. And there's the closer up shot. Very good. But why would the bottom of that building, or in fact the bottom of all of it, why would it be missing beyond that green banding there? Now, compression, this thin line here, wait, pause. This thin green line, or dark blue line, is compressed version of this here, compressed. We'll look at what that is in a minute. So here we have Toronto. There's a red line going somewhere. Wonder where that's going. Whoa! Hold on a second. What the hell are all of those trees and shrubbery? It's in the way of the red line. Could the red line be Jenna Fredo's line of sight? Right, I mean, there's all these trees in front. Could that be why there's this green banding here hiding the bottom of the buildings? Could it be trees? It is. It's trees. Let's continue. That's the correct distance. Interesting. Let's see what it would look like from sea level. On the other side of the trees. Good gosh, look at all those trees hiding the city. Good, my word. All those trees are hiding the bottom of the buildings. I mean, just like, wow. It's almost like proximity and obstacles cause a change in the panorama. My word. Because all of those buildings are hiding behind those big, tall trees. You go farther away, you see how the buildings got slightly larger? Here, and this is Google Earth, okay? Watch as I move back a little bit. Watch as the trees get smaller, but the buildings in the background, they don't. They get slightly larger compared to the trees. Watch very carefully. I'm going to move back in a minute. Watch. Watch these here, that region. Come on, whenever you're ready, computer. Might help if I hit play. Oops. Oh, it moved to the end. Right. Go back here. So just watch as I move away. Okay. Watch what happens. It's like the trees get smaller. Buildings are on the other side of those trees. Watch. Watch the trees. Now move away. Let's see what happens. Can't get any nearer. Oh, look. Oh, the buildings are peeking over the trees. That's interesting. That is just so interesting, isn't it? So, this here, this banding, is trees and shrubbery hiding the bottom of these buildings, because that's what trees and shrubbery does. It's not invisible. Now, one last thing for you, Paulster X, you dimwit who doesn't understand that you don't have to use tan and arctan. You can use plain trig, arrive at the same results, but skipping 2 steps. That's right, at least 2 steps. You can just skip them. What's going on here with this photo? Right, first, see the arrow here with a 0.042? Well, that arrow is supposed to be showing 0.042, like over here. See? That's supposed to be 0.042. But we know from looking at the angular diameter of the restaurant that the restaurant is 0.053. Is it not? Yes, it is. Well, that tells you that this, the actual length of this arrow, that's to say the gap between this dark banding, which is trees, okay, not the water, the top of the trees, like that's a legitimate thing to do, but never mind, from the top of the trees to the yellow line, minimum 0.053. Too big. See what I said? Now, remember when we went over here and we looked at what something that was 0.42 would mean in terms of meters at the correct distance? It was 36.4, wasn't it? Yes, it was. I mean, it's telling you right there, 36.4. Do we have any frame of reference that would tell us what 36.4 meters might look like at that distance? Well, kind of. The height of the restaurant. That's right. See, here we have this expanded width of the restaurant, you know, which you took those pixels from, you dimwit, and just assume, well, those pixels, they must mean... Okay. The height of the restaurant, approximately 36 meters. Let's place the height of the restaurant next to the yellow line. Can you see how it's too high, which is what I said all along? Do you need any more evidence that you're a moron and that yours truly spotted this without doing any actual measurements? It was by sight. Why? Because I'm a freaking artist. I can see things clearly, you moron. I could see that you cut the restaurant wrong immediately, moron. I could see that you measured wrong when you were doing Sparkane's little experiment. You've got a left bias. Do you understand? You have a left bias. Your brain has a left bias. Your visual field has a bias to the left. You register more information to the left than the right. You expand. You have a bias to the left. If you were to drop a center line and measure to the left and the right, you would extend it more to the left. You have a left bias, Paulster X. That's just for you to know you can correct it, but it takes effort. Everybody has a bias, okay? Yours is quite acute and 90 degrees to the left, okay? From the vertical, quite severe. So, do you understand from this simple trigonometry how you arrive at the same? Can you see? So let's clear and let's place some more. The distance B, we know, is this. Right. The height of the tower is known. It is 553 meters. So 553. That's 0.63. This simple. You can now go and bisect the images and see whether it seems right or not. How much is hidden or how much is compressed? I've done it. I can tell you, yes, it seems right. Yes, the bottom is missing. Why? Because there's freaking trees in the way, you half-wit. Oh no, what's happening is, between the observer and the city, there are trees, right? But what's happening is, the trees, they've refracted a bit. And beyond the trees, the city, that has refracted more than the trees. Yeah, that's what's happened. You're delusional. Now, what else can we work out from this? Let's see. Let's go to the size of the restaurant. 45.75 meters. Oops, wait, I have to clear. 45.75. Yeah, 0.052. That works. Didn't have to do arctan, didn't have to bisect, didn't have to be stupid. Didn't need to do any of that. Plain trigonometry. Are you seeing? This is plain trig. Sorry, it says 7.4 there, it should say 7.5. Never mind. Now let's put the height 36. Let's say 36.5 for the height of the restaurant. And the distance, and let's calculate, 0.042. Good gosh. Isn't that peculiar? The height of the restaurant. But why didn't the height of the restaurant fit in the photo? There was rather a large gap underneath when I placed it up to the yellow line. Oh, it's because it's compressed, that's why. Oh, right, that's interesting. What does that do to any measurements using tan and arctan? Well, it means you have to just accept that what you're seeing is what the math is telling you. You have no way of confirming, not unless you use an object like the sun. And I'm talking about object in the term of a visual object, okay? Not a tangible physical object. And that's what I did. That's what I urged you to do. That's what you failed to do. Instead, you went into a masturbatory tan, arctan. You've got to double R because you're doubling the You're an imbecile. That's why I said it before. You're a moron. You're an imbecile. Now, do I have anything else hiding? Oh, yes, I have this. What's this? Oh, yes. Let's see this one. Look. This is 0.42. This here. I'm going to cut that and I'm going to compare it to the restaurant. Okay? And you could actually go and actually check things instead of just believing. So copy. Instead of just believing things, you could like check. Let's grab it and pull it over to the side. Oh, pretty good. Pretty good, huh? That's interesting. Isn't that interesting? Wait, let's leave that there. Yes, and over here I have this. Look, this is what 0.042. Okay, this is what it looks like here. This is supposed to show what this arrow is showing, 0.042. We can see right there, it isn't. That's 0.042. There's 0.065 for comparison. You can do the same thing yourself. This is what 0.042 would look like. What does this mean for this yellow line? Well, it means, I'll tell you what it means. I can do it right now. That if I take this and I place it at the bottom of the line, like here, bottom of the arrow, it means, no, it should be a tiny bit lower, shouldn't it? We're going to be precise. So let me take that off. Very bottom of the arrow. Okay, about there, I think that's right. Let's see. Yes, that will do. jolly good. Now let's extend a line from that, which is 0.42. Gonna come to there, because, can you see, 0.42? There. So let's grab green, straight line. Go here. Go all the way across to 0.42. There you go. Can you see how your line is too high? Like I said it right at the beginning. Now the image is slightly twisted, which is why it's closer here than over here. A bit like the star trails that No Fanfare showed. You know, closer at one point and more distant at the other. Okay. Can you see? Can you see? Oh, sorry, I showed it. I sent it from the wrong place. From here, there, from there. Can you see? Now, you have to give it to me. Like, you have to give me kudos. I spotted that this was too large. This here. When I said that's too high, that's too big, I was talking about this. And I said, place the sun there and you'll see for yourself. And I hadn't placed the sun. I have to give myself a pat on the back. That's pretty well spotted. But then again, if you're a freaking realist artist, you're going to spot small details like that. Okay? Can you see? This is how much your line is over by. Now, just for the sake, let me see. Should I? Nah, can't be bothered. I was going to cut and place it horizontally next to the diameter of this, but across the span of the restaurant, but I can't be bothered. So, do you understand, Dim Dim? You're a moron. You really are a moron. I've told you, I've explained it to you. You're a moron. Don't try to get round by reciting prayers you haven't stopped to think about, like tan and arctan. When I told my teacher that was stupid, it's because it is stupid. You do not need tan and arctan to figure out the angular size of an object in the distance. That's what plain trig does. It's the same angle here. Do you understand? I mean, you're seeing it right now. I will show you one more time. I'm going to put 45.75 here, which was the width of the restaurant. I'm going to put, that's the real width of the restaurant. That's not divided or multiplied. That's the real width of the restaurant. We're only working one triangle. We're not then going to double it. Okay? And we're working with the real distance. That would be the radius in your thinking. It's not radius, Dim Dim. It's a line. That's all it is. If you're making an observation to an object, you're not working it on a circle. Well, what would it be like if that object was that distance over to this direction? That's just that's why they teach you that way. That's why I said it was stupid to my teacher. Now, B. This is the real distance, not twice r. Come on, paste it. Oh, it doesn't want to. It's not twice r. Okay? Paste. Calculate. Same result as you got with your tan and arctan. Why is that? It's because it's the same angle. Now I'm going to stop showing that and I'm going to remind you that I showed you this right at the beginning with some hand-drawn triangles. Remember when I showed you this? And I said, this is the same angle as this. Okay, look, I'm going to line them up It is the same angle. Okay, you have this one here, that one there. Okay, let me do it in a way that works. It's the same angle, okay? Because you can't bisect this triangle, remember, you've kept up with what I've been explaining. You can't bisect this. They tell you to do this instead and work on this right angle instead of what you have in the real world, which is, well, this. The only difference is you dim, because these are concepts that in your world, this is X, okay, this, and this, okay, arctan, that's what it means, the hypotenuse from this triangle, okay, from this right-angled triangle, that's what it means. This is the real world, and where you have this as X and that as X, you ignore this, you forget that. No, you're only figuring this out. Yes. This is X. Same value, X. 36 miles, 42 miles, doesn't matter. It's the same as this. In fact, this triangle here is this triangle there. Obviously extended to cover the actual size you're looking for. This. You have to know either the distance or the side and the degree, or just the side and the distance. You imbecile. You complete imbecile. What did you think arctan was? Some magical thing. What did you think it was? It's tan. It's inverted tan. Same result, moron. What did you think it was? What did you think it was telling you? It's worked out by figuring out from the distance what the hypotenuse is. That's what tells you the degree here, moron. What did you think it was? Magic. And you didn't pull up your teacher on this. That's why you're a blind fool. Because you did not pull up your teacher. That's right. You're an imbecile. You're a brainwashed drone. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the Hangouts. I think it was Helen DeGeneres. I'm going to share. Let me make sure I'm showing what I think I'm showing. I don't know what I'm showing. What am I showing? Video capture, yeah. Okay, I'm going to expand this while I'm looking for the thing. I'm going to share a different portion of the same Hangout, the oh shit, centripetal, and I'm going to point out for you moron globelings why I made sure that I didn't let Red change my question about whether or not the sun moves. Okay? I saw it, I saw what it was doing. I'm going to show you, because you don't understand. Okay? You blistering buffoons. Just bear with me while I pull it up. And then I'm going to explain for the globelings why I didn't let Red hijack the question and answer a question that was not being asked. That's why I stuck to my guns. No, this is the question. Here it is. It's only 11 minutes long. 11 and a half minutes long. And this is Helen DeGeneres. I don't think I have this one on my channel. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to play it all the way through. And then I'm going to show with illustrations for the globelings why I refused to move into the relativity question. As if I didn't understand. If I hadn't understood it, I would have answered. And then would have been trapped into a question I wasn't asking. Do you understand? I love saying that now, because I know they don't. Right, let me see if this is the one. Yes. Enjoy. Some of you have seen this before. It's 11.5 minutes long, and then I'm going to show you with visual aids. And now I'm going to join you in the chat, by the way, whilst this is playing.
Knowing what I know of Antonio, it's unlikely he's going to come in here and make some sort of heavy scientific debate with Red.
Can either of you explain the difference between centripetal and centrifugal force, please? Now, you both heard my question about centrifugal and centripetal force, did you not?
Right.
Correct. Yes. Which of you would care to describe these two forces to the people listening? Either Red or Jam Panda, would either of you please, for the benefit of the listeners and subsequent listeners, describe centripetal and centrifugal force?
Okay, so anyway, they're two sides of the same coin. Centrifugal force is the tendency of an object following a curved path to fly away from the center of curvature, when a centripetal force is a force that keeps an object moving along a uniform path around that point. Both of them use the same equations.
You just quoted two equations which are the exact same equation. Well, one equation which is actually a mirror image of itself, yeah? For describing two demi-forces, because they're not actual forces, are they?
Yeah, they're forces.
Yeah, they're forces.
Oh dear. Fictitious or pseudo force. It's not a force.
Okay, so two different forces.
Same force.
Oh, okay, so spinning away from something is exactly the same as being pulled towards it.
It's an idea about rotation.
No. Something being...
It's all about what happens after the fact, after the force is applied. That's when you have the different... Because in centripetal force, you have an object staying in orbit. With centrifugal force, you have objects being flung away. So both of those require a spin, and both of those require a spin of the same equation.
And away is the opposite as towards, or are they now both the same thing?
The only difference is the direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
direction, correct.
Yeah. So one is away from the body it's orbiting, and the other is towards the body it's orbiting. Is it not?
Yeah, both of them refer to rotation, correct.
Yes. So the two equations describing the two different forces balance
Same
out
force.
to zero. Yeah, it balances out to zero, does it not?
Bounces out to... No.
Okay.
Of course it does. If it doesn't balance out to zero, you've got more centrifugal or more centripetal, and you wouldn't have orbit.
So,
What does that
now,
even mean?
you wouldn't understand because you weren't taught it. You weren't taught it, so you wouldn't understand. You can't expect that you're going
Well, don't make that assumption.
to.
Don't make that assumption.
Well, you're just asking what it means. If you've been taught it, you wouldn't be asking.
No, I'm asking what you mean by it.
No, it's got a straightforward meaning. You can look
It's called equilibrium.
it up afterwards. But now, here's the thing. We're talking about centrifugal versus centripetal force, which is basically describing the orbit of the planets around the sun or whatever is orbiting whatever else. Correct?
Being in orbit or getting flung out of orbit. Both of which still require an orbit.
So it's describing orbit, correct?
Yep. Either staying in orbit or getting flung out of orbit.
No. You can't have two different things being the same thing.
Those two different things are two different results. That's why they have two different names.
You just said that centripetal and centrifugal are the same. Now you're saying that the two things are not the same.
The
Either
events
they're
that
the same
happen,
or they're
the
not the
events
same.
that happen as a result of those equations.
Things don't happen as a result of an equation.
Oh, really?
Things happen as a result of an equation.
Things get described by equations, and then we can figure out what happened.
Yes, the equation is after the fact, really. It's just a way of describing the event. Now, my question, my scientific question for you and Jampanda is this. The body that's being orbited, okay? So, let's say the sun. And let's say the thing doing the orbiting, let's call that the Earth, okay? Is the sun static in space?
Relative to what? The center of the Milky Way galaxy?
Is it static?
The sun is static in our solar system.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, if you're keeping it, okay, so it's not confined to our solar system.
No. I asked, is the sun static?
Relative to what?
You understand what the word static means, don't you? It
And
means
you know
not
what the
moving.
word relative means.
Yes, I do.
Okay, then why don't you answer the question? Relative to
Static.
what?
No. Static means not moving.
Relative to what?
What the fuck? Relative to what? Is the sun
I'll just answer the question.
moving?
Relative to the Earth.
Relative
No.
to what?
No. Forget it. This is a little rabbit hole. Okay,
Okay,
relativity is a bunch of bullshit. Let's
Well,
stop
it's
playing.
not-
You see, relative to the Earth would have had this simple model where, oh no, everything is fine and there's no perpendicular motion, or almost perpendicular, 66 degrees instead of 90 degrees, motion to interfere with anything. You see? That's why I didn't allow that to be accepted.
English, is static something that's not moving? Is that what static means?
Static can be something that's not moving relative to something.
Your steering wheel is static to you, but to the hitchhiker, when you
Oh, it
drive
is.
by, it is
Oh.
moving.
There's always a point of view from which it is not static. As long as there is a point of view that can see it as not static, that's all that matters. You're trying to bring in relativity to get out of a simple question. Is the sun moving or is it not moving?
It's not moving within its own solar system. It's
That wasn't
moving
the
relative.
question. Do you
Okay,
don't,
then
you don't
what the
understand
fuck
the
do you
question.
mean? How am I
Is
supposed to
something
figure this
moving,
shit out?
not moving? Jeremy, do
Are
you
you
know
talking
if it's
about
moving or not
relative
moving?
to the center of the galaxy?
I do understand the distinction that he's making, and what he's
I
saying.
understand the distinction that he's making. Is the sun moving or not moving?
Again, are you trying to create this sort of gotcha question?
Remember that, or notice, some of you, Wendy Blank remembers, some of you will know this. Jem Panda just said, once again, why are you trying to create a gotcha question? The reason for that, Reds was already nervous when I went in, because I'd already got them before, in the past, with simple observations. But they thought it was a great big gotcha. It's like, no, dude, if you ask a question that shows that your ideas are wrong, they haven't gotcha. They've just given you a little bit of knowledge. It's not like, ha, I win. It's like, no, dude.
Let
It's
him
not
give
a
a full-
gotcha question.
Yes, it is. Let him give a
No,
full
it
explanation.
isn't. You keep
Yes, it
thinking
is.
it's a gotcha question.
Yes, it
It's a
is.
simple question.
Yes, it is,
And
because
you keep
we need to
thinking
know.
it's a gotcha question, so you keep looking for a way out.
If you were educated on it, then you should be able to tell me. Do you mean static as in static within the solar system and we're only paying attention to the solar system itself? Or
See, this is what he wanted to do. Only pay attention to the solar system itself, or
do you mean relative to the center of the Milky Way? Which
in which case, it's static relative to the Milky Way too. In which case, don't have to include any motions that might disturb the idea of centrifugal and centripetal force around an object which is moving in a direction, in any direction, in fact.
is external to our solar system. Which one are you pointing to?
You're asking relative to what? Okay, and you would like me to answer relative to the solar system or the galaxy? No, relative to space. That's where movement happens. So is the sun moving relative to space?
And what point in space?
What's wrong with you? How can you
Yeah,
not
I
answer
should
this
ask
question?
you that same question.
How can you not answer this question?
If you said to someone, "Are you moving relative to the road?" and they said, "What point on the road?" Like, dude, I don't think you fully understand the concept of motion.
Can you
find
answer
this
it?
so difficult to answer.
Can
I'm
you
trying-
answer it?
Okay, so you want me to answer something in which I don't know the actual question.
You don't know whether or not the sun is moving through space.
I know. Someone else answer the question.
You don't want to answer the question because you think it's a gotcha question. I'm going to have a look to see what people are saying in chat, just to see whether they understand what movement through space means. I've asked the question properly. You're saying, can you ask the question in a way that we can answer it?
Just give him.
Within their paradigm, by the way. Not, honestly, within the realm of physics, like real physics, real objects, real physical things interacting with other physical things, and non-physical things like space, distance. No, they want... No, I want you to ask me regarding the solar system alone, in which case we don't have to take in any extra complications, or within the Milky Way, in which case we also don't have to take in any extra complications.
In both answers.
The question has a simple answer. The answer is yes. Okay? So
yeah,
I've answered my own question. I have answered my own question, which you wanted me to do. Is the sun moving through space? According to orbital mechanics, yes, it is. Apparently, neither you nor Jeremy had the intelligence to understand that simple question that a 5-year-old could have answered. No, what you were doing was you were trying to sequester the question and put it in a tiny little box. Okay? So you asked
Which means
relative to what?
they were trying to change the question. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to change the question so that they could answer a question that hadn't been asked, which is a question to do with fantasy. It's like if I'm asking, hey, did your parents go shopping? And you say, wait a second, I want you to ask me about Santa Claus. But no, I'm not asking about Santa Claus. I'm asking about your parents. Real people. Real things.
What? Then you gave 2 options of what I could say it was relative to.
You can say whatever you want.
I did. I said relative to space. The sun. We're talking specifically about the sun and whether or not it is moving through space.
There are objects in space that it moves relative to,
So,
but if you're talking about within the solar system, it doesn't move in space.
Your brain has not processed what's being asked.
Space
We're
doesn't
talking
have
about-
grids. Space
We're
doesn't have a grid pattern that you can
What are you
figure
talking
out
about
motion.
grids for? What are you talking about grids that don't exist for? Okay, I said, this question is regarding centrifugal and centripetal force. Now for this, we're going to be talking about the sun and the earth. Okay, now, is the sun moving through space? The
No.
answer is yes.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
you see, he can't handle that. So he has to say, no, the sun is not moving through space, because if it was moving through space, it would throw Earth's orbit completely out of whack, and it makes it sound absurd. It makes it sound just, well, absurd, ridiculous, the subject of ridicule. Just, not even really fantasy, but just retarded thinking. It sounds like the result of retarded thinking.
No.
Thank you. I can pull this down too, can't I, guys?
You can. Absolutely.
Right, so rest, the sun is not moving through space. Jeremy, do you want to chip in?
Well, I wanted you to finish the rest of that question because it seemed like
Okay.
you were building up to something.
I was.
Where were you going from there?
This is where I was going. So, centrifugal and centripetal, okay, around a point, yeah? I'm describing a point. If anybody wants to look, you don't have to. Now, if you move the point that it's orbiting around, yes, you've changed the force, haven't you?
No.
No.
Yes, you have. Fairground rides are based on it. I mean,
Oh, you haven't? Sorry, Red, you don't count. You can't answer anymore because you think the sun is not travelling through space. You know that it's going to be hard for you to go to sleep having answered that the sun does not travel through space. Do you want to arrive at a conclusion?
Or
I will make it concise. If the body is itself moving, and that moving has an arc to it, the effect centripetal versus centrifugal will change depending on where that orbiting body is relative to the body that's being orbited. So it's not constant. Why don't you demonstrate it by spinning something?
If the idea and the concept of moving is going from point A to point B, that doesn't happen. And Antonio, that's called you getting
doesn't move through point A to point B. You're ratifying what you said earlier, which is that the sun does not move from point A to point B.
voila. And now I'm going to show you, for the Globelings watching, why he was trying to change the question with a simple diagram. Here we have a very simple spiral galaxy. We'll call this the Milky Way. Here we have Earth at a point within the Milky Way. And the Milky Way spins like this. Can you see how the Earth is not moving relative to the Milky Way? Can you see? That's why he was trying to sequester the question and say, make it about the solar system alone, or make it about the solar system within the galaxy alone, but not within the orbit of the sun, the Earth around the sun, and the Milky Way. Well, look, here's the Earth. It's moving through space. The sun is in the center, and the Earth is going around the sun, and the sun is moving through space. That sends the centripetal and centrifugal balance out of equilibrium. Out of equilibrium. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is another thing, I asked this and was booted from the Hangouts not long after that Hangout, by the way, which, most of you know, was immediately pulled. Luckily for me, it went on for another hour or so after I left. So I went in, long time. Eventually, Reds is asking if he can take the Hangout and mirror it on his channel, and he said yes. And I say, I can too, can't I? Yes, great. I finish and I think, I get a feeling they might pull this Hangout, so I rewind and record. I've said this before. I record from my screen with the audio. That's why that's still there. Otherwise, it would be down the memory hole with it. Now what I'm going to draw is the sun, just the sun, forget the Earth, and the sun's direction, okay? That way, that's all I'm doing. The sun, and it's going in a direction around the Milky Way, okay? That's the sun, around the Milky Way. But along comes something that does a slingshot from the sun, okay? And I'm just going to draw a dotted line for this thing that does a slingshot. This thing that does a slingshot is Halley's Comet. Wait a minute, I can do another one, very similar. One of them is Halley's Comet, and the other one is Hale-Bopp. Well, what goes on after this? The sun carries on, and over a period of time, well, the distance between the sun, Now we're going to go, I don't know, 3 years later. Okay. Those comets there's one of them. Okay, I'm only going to focus on one. Take your pick, Hale-Bopp or Halley's Comet. Can you see? It's ahead of the sun. Can you see how it's ahead of the sun? Okay, here would be a grid. That's the it's ahead of that grid, moving faster than the sun. Okay. Oh. Now I'm going to move it to, well, 50 years later. And what I'm going to do is, to show that, I'm going to draw a dot for the sun. You can't even see it, just a tiny dot. And now that comet is, well, it's gotten much farther away, but it's now heading back. But you see how it's faster than the sun? See how that baseline, how it's ahead of that baseline, and it's coming back. It has a certain velocity. Somehow, in the next 26 years or so, it's going to slow down so that it can then, in 20 years' time, be going past the sun again. That's right. Acceleration and deceleration. Much faster than the sun, going far away. Something makes it turn and then come back. There's another option though, which is, here's the Milky Way and there's the direction of the sun around the Milky Way, and here's point A and here's point B. 76 years between them. Okay, and here comes Halley's. Okay, Halley's comet comes along like this, faster than the sun. Okay, and continues like this as the sun moves that way, so that again, when the sun is here, 26 years later, 76 years later, it can do that. Okay, can you see? But in order to do this, can you see how it's arrived at the sun, but it was going faster than the sun? This is only possible in mathematics and the imagination, because it would always be behind the sun. No matter where it was, it would be, well, the sun, sorry, it would be behind in space, and it would never ever cross again. Not possible. Unless it slows down. It just slows down and then comes zooming, slows down and then accelerates. Okay, so slows down and then accelerates to go past the sun, and then slows down again and then accelerates again to go past the sun. Could it be that they haven't got a clue? Just like with Hale-Bopp, which they'd never predicted. They had not predicted Hale-Bopp. And when it happened, they're like, we think this happens, I don't know, 200 years or so. Don't know, our records don't show it ever before. We're going to say about 200 years before it happens again. None of you will be around to see. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I forget who was it? I'll find. Now what I'm going to do, just give me a second, I'm going to go into my history. And Level Earth Observer, that's who. And we're going to look at a guy who failed his exams. And just because you fail your exams at school doesn't actually mean you're stupid, okay? But if you fail your exams but you pretend like you're kind of academically equipped or academically intellectual, then it's a sign of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay, I know guys who failed school and are geniuses with engineering. I really do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video. It's regarding Halley's Comet. Gleam, how you doing? Are you sub to PBS Space Time? I'm not sure. The latest video is very interesting. It's universe finite. I might be. I'll take a look, Gleam. Oh, I'll tell you what. I will give you a wrench, and if you want to pass a video. Wait, there's somebody called JB Money says the Earth is a sphere, dumbass. Oh, is it? That's interesting. Here is the description. The universe is big, really big. Although according to a new paper, it may literally be infinitely smaller than we previously thought. Infinitely smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to share this video. Gleam, feel free to share. And I will play it for educational purposes. Right, I think it's this one. Yes. Thanks, man. I'll play it after this.
Just a very quick video this afternoon. We're back with the Globe's top boy, the Globagandist, known as Simon Dan, the top boy as far as numbers are concerned, and for rolling his sleeves up and going toe-to-toe with the truth. Problem is here, Dan, as he relays his stories of his youth, he doesn't even know what he's talking about or what he's looking up at the sky at. Which really kind of makes you, Dan, look a bit silly, doesn't really represent well for your heliocentric fantasy or your 169,000 subscribers, Dan. But hey, who am I to judge? Let's take a look what Dan's got to say.
Halley's Comet, for example, has a 75-year orbit of the Sun. I saw it once, in the 90s, and I may not see it ever again.
So you saw Halley's Comet once, in the 90s? And you may not ever see it again, Dan. I'm going to make a statement, Dan, that you've never ever seen Halley's Comet in all your life. Do you know why? Because the last time Halley's Comet was visible was in 1986, Danny boy. Halley last appeared in the inner parts of the solar system in 1986 and will next appear in 2061. So what you think you were looking at in the mid-90s, Dan, wasn't Halley's Comet.
Now, I have to give a caveat here. There's no reason why Dan should know that. He's only studying for an A-level in planetary science.
Alright? So, as a spotty-faced, excited kid jumping up and down in the mid-90s, you were just as deluded then, Dan, as you are now, my dear man, because the comet you were looking at in the mid-90s was known as Hale-Bopp. That's right, Dan, Hale-Bopp. Can I just point out, Dan, if you're going to make videos and mockumentaries and hit piece type videos on your channel, it really does help to have the proper information at hand, particularly when you're talking about direct, real experience, Dan, like you citing your observation of Halley's Comet 10 years after it was visible. Doesn't really reflect well on you, the heliocentric fantasy, and everything else you push, Danny boy.
That really chuckled him. That really tickled him. That's the word. Right, and now I'm going to play the PBS cosmology. I have a cat that might pounce at any minute, so if everything goes really quiet or wrong, you know what it is. JB Money is writing in all caps. All of you need to go back to school. Okay. Right, so let me paste that here. 1 second. Oops, one thing. Oh. And it caught them by surprise. This is the thing. Hale-Bopp caught them by surprise. They weren't predicting Hale-Bopp was coming for 10, 15, 5 years before it came. It's like, oh yeah, there's this comet, yeah, we forgot to tell you about, we meant to tell you about it, but we forgot. Give me a second. Come on, Loki. Quit it. He's figured out that things move on the screen and that the mouse, specifically, the mouse does funny things. And he walks on my keyboard. Quit it. Oh, video unavailable? Dude, telling me video's unavailable. One second, let me try something else.
Thank you to Brilliant
No,
Dog.
it's right there. The heck? Right. Copy. Get over here.
Thank you to Brilliant
There
Dog
we go.
for supporting PBS Digital Studio.
Okay. It's so funny watching a cat watching what you're doing on the screen. The posture, you can just imagine what's going through their head, but the posture is like, I'm going to get that in a minute. That's what's going on. Right, give me a second. Let me share screen. I'm going to be listening while I go and make a drink here. And this is being shown for educational purposes. Thank you very much.
Yes. Space is big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. Although, according to a new paper...
Pause. No, I'm not subscribed, but I will be now. There. I dare you to give me a copyright strike now that you've seen me subscribe to you, and then you'll feel guilty and karma eat you up.
It may literally be infinitely smaller than we previously thought. Every time you walk out the door, light from the Big Bang strikes your face, enters your eyes. This is the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Wait a second, wait. I'm going to say this one more time. If it's from the Big Bang, then it would be way farther away beyond us, like way ahead of us, because we had to slow down to become matter, like the Earth, solar system, all the star, all of those things, and all of those things after the expanding wave of the Big Bang. Not before, so that the expanding wave could reach us. No, expanding wave out, and we are after that expanding wave. I'll show it with a drawing.
Leftover heat glow from the very early universe. We can't see this microwave light with our eyes. We can catch it with even a simple radio antenna. As soon as we became aware of its existence, we've been feverishly building better and better devices to collect it. Why? Because it encodes so many secrets. And within this light, a group of scientists have just found evidence of the limits of space. A clue that our universe may actually be finite in size. Today, on Spacetime Journal Club, we'll delve into the Nature Astronomy paper that just reported this. Planck evidence for a closed universe and a possible crisis for cosmology by Eleonora Di Valentino, Alessandro Melchiori, and Joe Silk. This is the map of the cosmic microwave background, the CMB, made by the Planck satellite. We've explored in a previous episode how that speckled pattern is the frozen imprint of sound waves that reverberated through the first few 100,000 years after the Big Bang, only to be frozen in place as the universe cooled. Analysis of the sizes of these speckles from previous satellites and the initial analysis from the Planck map pointed to a universe that is infinitely large and geometrically flat, and is dominated by the influences of dark matter and a constant density of dark energy. For the most part, this has agreed with our observations of the modern universe. But more detailed study of the Planck data has started to reveal tensions. We've talked about this so-called crisis in cosmology. The Planck team calculate an expansion rate for the universe that does not match the expansion rate observed today, particularly the modern expansion rate determined from supernova measurements, and that's even accounting for the accelerating effect of a constant dark energy. Despite this tension, the teams agree on lots of things, including the fact that the universe is, as close as we can tell, geometrically flat and infinite. But I'll come back to exactly what I mean by that. But even this agreement seems to be fading. In the new study, astrophysicists claim to have found clear evidence in the Planck data that the universe is not flat, but rather curved inward on itself. If they're right, the universe is not infinite in extent. Before we get to the new study, let's do a super quick review.
It's infinite, but not infinite in extent. I call word salad. Gonna have some vinaigrette with that.
Of geometry. Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity allows for...
That retarded person. There's a Globling in the chat. Listen, Globling. Albert Einstein was a retarded adult.
3 simple geometries for our universe. We have 1. A universe with positive curvature. The 2D analogy for this is the surface of a sphere, so our 3D space would be like the surface of a 4-dimensional sphere, also known as a hypersphere. Just like with the 2D spherical analog, lines that start parallel in such a universe eventually come together. Such a universe has a finite volume, just as a sphere has a finite surface area. If you travel far enough around, you'll get back to where you started. Then there's 2. The
I have to go back and pick through that because there's a little bit of word salad there. Just like a sphere has a finite surface, not if it's expanding. Then it's like Zeno's dichotomy of motion. Never gets there. Can never, like, start measuring. So put the tape at one side of the sphere, go all the way around, and before you can touch the end of your measuring tape to where you pinned it, well, it's expanding. You can never quite reach it. That would be infinite and spherical.
The 2D analogy for this is the surface of a sphere, so our 3D space...
That's a 3D, not 2D. So the surface of the sphere, like, no, if it's a sphere, it's 3D. You can't have a 2D sphere. The surface is 2D. It's like, no, it isn't. If there's a line, a radius, a diameter, it's not 2D.
Space would be like the surface of a 4-dimensional sphere, also known as a...
There's no such thing as a 4-dimensional sphere.
Hypersphere. Just like with the 2D spherical analog, lines that start parallel in such a...
Lines that start parallel? Oh, look. Can you see those 2 red lines? Those would be, well, similar to longitudinal lines, right? Can you see all of those other parallel lines that never meet? That's right, the ones that are playing the role of what would be latitudes on Earth, or parallels on Earth. They're called parallels, the latitudes. They never meet. Huh, good laws. Why would they choose, of the 2 options, why would they choose the longitudinal one instead of the, well, the parallel? When they're talking about lines that are parallel, the longitudinal lines are not parallel. But watch what he's explaining about how they're parallel.
Universe eventually come together.
That's right, because that's not word salad. Parallel lines come together. That's not the meaning of parallel lines, sorry fella.
A universe with positive curvature. The 2D analogy for this is the surface of a sphere, so our 3D space would be like the surface of a 4-dimensional sphere, also known as a hypersphere. Just like with the 2D spherical analog, lines that start parallel in such a universe...
Lines that start parallel? No, I'm seeing lots of lines that start parallel that would never meet. Also, parallel literally means not meeting. 2 parallel lines never meet. They never actually meet. But he's saying, oh no, they do.
Eventually come together.
Nope.
Such a universe has a finite volume, just as a sphere has a finite surface area.
A balloon is spherical, and that's, if you carry on inflating it, it has ever-increasing volume. So no, just some more word salad. Vinaigrette. Don't forget the vinaigrette.
if you travel far enough around, you'll get back to where you started.
Not if it's growing in your travel around.
Then there's 2, the negatively curved universe, analogous to a hyperbolic plane, an infinite saddle shape. All paths through space diverge from each other. Such a universe...
No, they don't. Right, let me display the other style so that I can show. Ah, not this one. This one, here.
Universe is...
Okay, all lines diverge. Do they really? What about lines going this way? Going that way? Do they diverge? No, no they don't. Just like on the sphere, let me go back. Look, for the globelings. These are playing the role on your globe Earth. They would be called latitudes. They never meet. That's right. They are parallel and they never, ever, ever meet. The only ones that meet are the ones that are not parallel. Those would be the longitudes. If he's describing parallel lines, then he's describing the latitudes, and they don't meet. Another way to refer to them on the globe Earth is parallel. Like the 36th parallel. Well, 40... You get it? Okay. Now we're moving on to this shape. Like, oh, here I can see, imagine any 2 lines going away that way, never meeting and never diverging. Oh no.
All paths through space diverge from each other.
No, all paths from space. That's a critical thing. No, you're wrong. That's just false.
Such a universe is open. Space goes on forever. And finally, 3.
What about an expanding sphere that's forever expanding? Wouldn't that go on forever? Yep. Oh, okay.
The universe with 0 curvature, a geometrically flat universe, parallel lines stay parallel, and your high school geometry still works. And again, space in such a universe goes on forever.
Oh.
The geometry of the universe is determined by 2 things. 1, the mass and energy it contains. More stuff in the universe, a higher energy density, means more gravity, which tends to pull a universe in on itself. It gives positive curvature and closes the universe, making it finite.
That's not flat.
And 2, the rate of expansion. Rapid expansion tends to give negative curvature and open the universe, making it infinite. The combination of these factors determine the geometry. Like I said,
that's straightforward word salad. If you ask them to demonstrate, they cannot demonstrate with anything other than mathematics. But with mathematics, you can demonstrate how, well, Dawkins' spaghetti monster makes Earth rotate. Yeah, if you want to with mathematics. You can't show it, like in the real world.
Previous studies were pointing to a flat universe. For example, by looking at the geometry of gigantic triangles defined by the largest of the speckles in the CMB.
Oh, triangles. We know triangles.
The curvature measured was consistent with being 0, flat, but there's always a degree of uncertainty due to the imperfect nature of any measurement. The curvature could have been very slightly positive or very slightly negative, just as the surface of the Earth appears flat if you're standing on the ground. It's only when you get some elevation that you see the curvature.
But do you really? Oh, poor guy, this guy. I'm pretty sure that he thinks that that's true. Hasn't bothered checking, poor Dim Dim.
But it turns out that evidence of very slight curvature may have been hiding in the Planck data all along. The new study went much deeper into the Planck data than just looking at triangles defined by the biggest blobs. The team analysed all of the blobs. More accurately, they analysed what we call the power spectrum. That's just the graph showing the distribution of different sizes of blobs in the CMB. Blob size is on the x-axis, and number of blobs of that size is on the y. So we can see that we get a lot more blobs at some sizes compared to others, with most blobs at around 1 degree on the scale.
unfortunately, because they can't actually establish any kind of distance to any of these things, they don't really know what they're looking at all. Like, including Resretric and an astronomer showing video of Venus showing redshift and blue shift simultaneously.
Sky. We talked about the power spectrum in enormous detail in that earlier episode. One thing that we didn't talk about is how gravitational lensing influences the overall shape of the power spectrum. See, the light from the CMB doesn't travel straight to us, it passes through a universe full of galaxies and galaxy clusters.
Wait a minute. What light? The microwave radiation. Ooh, that travels slower than the speed of light, so that it's catching us? Oh yes, I heard it's like wave ripples, is it? No, like the surface of empty space doesn't have ripples, doesn't have any kind of surface tension to provide any kind of ripples.
All of which have enormous gravitational fields that act as lenses, slightly deflecting the path of those light rays of the CMB. The result is like looking at the universe through a lumpy pane of glass. Everything is very slightly distorted. In the case of the CMB, this results in a sort of smoothing or blurring out of the power spectrum.
It's almost like looking up into, well, fiber optic tubes or filaments.
The peaks are less sharp than they would be otherwise. Our brave scientists were able to determine the...
What did he just say? I hope he said algebraic scientists. Let's see what he said.
This results in a sort of smoothing or blurring out of the power spectrum. The peaks are less sharp than they would be otherwise. Our brave scientists
were able to determine the amount of lensing present in the
were able to determine the amount of lensing present in the Planck CMB map, and they found more than would be expected for an open universe.
What brave scientists are these pencil-necked mathematicians? What do they do that requires courage? Braveness requires courage. What is it that they do that requires courage, which would qualify them as brave? Wow, just wow.
See, gravitational lensing is caused by mass, both dark matter and atoms.
Sorry, what's dark matter again?
More lensing suggests the universe has a higher energy density than previously thought.
Oh, is there density in the dark matter? Is it?
Remember that more energy density tends to introduce positive curvature. The new study claims there's enough extra matter revealed by that lensing to actually close the universe into a finite hypersphere surface rather than an infinite flat hyperplane.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, this infinite flat plane, it now has enough energy that it might just pop, become a bubble. Become a bubble. That's right. The farthest most reaches of this flat infinite plane, well, there's enough energy that they would all have to bend perfectly in the correct direction in order to meet at the very bottom of the flat plane universe and become a bubble, to become a sphere.
Obviously, I'm glossing over a lot of the details here.
No, a lot of the bullshit.
These scientists didn't just...
They always do this, by the way. They say, to put it in layman's terms, or this is a subject for another video, or there's more to it, obviously, but they always do that. If you look at the more details, you find that it's spoken about in the very same way as he's speaking now. It's not massively technical speech.
Measure the amount of lensing on its own. They created a model that included all of the relevant parameters.
Oh dear, there's problems with models. There really is. There's problems with models. Like, Dawkins developed this model of the flying spaghetti monster, as this irrational thing that people might believe in. And he created a model for it. It has a location in space, it has a form, it's a substance, it's made out of spaghetti, and it's a monster. But it's bullshit. So when cosmologists develop a model that's also bullshit, you can tell it's bullshit by how they describe it and by the things they don't describe. Like, for instance, the impossibility of cosmic background radiation reaching Earth when it should be light years ahead of Earth.
The expansion rate, details of inflation, the amount and behavior of all the different types of mass and energy, etc. They found the range of models that fit the shape of the power spectrum, and for the most part, those pointed to positive curvature. That curvature was slight, meaning the universe is still unthinkably vast, but if this is right, then it's not infinitely large. The researchers claim a greater than 99% statistical confidence for positive curvature.
What a bunch of bullshit. I'll show you with a sheet of paper.
In this analysis. So, is the universe really closed and finite? Does that mean there's enough matter to cause it to recollapse again? And can we find a faster route to
Recollapse again? Like it has ever collapsed.
India by travelling all the way around the cosmos to get back to where we started? Well, even if the universe is finite, it's still expanding, and that expansion is accelerating. It will never recollapse, unless its physics is very different to what we think. Also, beyond a certain distance from us, its expansion exceeds the speed of light, so there's no lapping the universe regardless of its geometry.
Wait, at a certain distance from us, as would be, say, the foremost boundaries of the Big Bang's cosmic background radiation? That very distant wave? Yeah, that's where it should be, Dim Dim.
There's also reason to be cautious before we conclude that the universe is closed at all. The researchers looked at a different...
I think this is where the braveness comes in. You know, they have to be cautious.
Indicator of the amount of gravitational lensing, the so-called 4-point correlation function. In short, lensing by a cluster of galaxies tends to draw rays of light from different blobs together. A random distribution of blobs ends up with slight clusterings. The 4-point correlation function found an amount of lensing consistent with the old result of less energy density and a flat universe. So, why is there a conflict given that 99+% confidence?
Because you can't be brave if there's no conflict. Yes, here's one guy using spherical trigonometry, and here's another guy using algebra. Oh, who will win?
It's important to know that this percentage is not the likelihood of the conclusion being correct. It's the statistical confidence in the model fit given the assumptions that went into the model.
I bet that's where some of their braveness comes from, their confidence.
In other words, if all of those assumptions are correct...
If? Oh, that's a big problem for cosmology. If?
Then there's less than 1% chance that a flat universe would look like a positively curved universe just due to random uncertainties.
The reason if is problematic is because somebody could say, and if not? Oh, that scuppers all our ideas, if not.
So there are three possibilities, really. One is that the universe really is positively curved and finite. Two is that the assumptions that went into the model are wrong.
Wait a second. He's now talking about possibilities, but he's already said the actual evidence says one is not possible. Not given the evidence, the universe cannot be positively curved and finite, not according to the evidence.
And we'll come back to these. Three is that there's a mistake, an issue with the data.
Yes, the fundamental premises. The fundamental premises of your cosmology are wrong.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Some very subtle systematic issue in the calibration of the Planck data may have led to the unexpected results for both the geometry and the expansion history of the universe. For example, the Planck CMB map required extremely careful subtraction of all other sources of microwave radiation. If this step, or something like it, wasn't done perfectly, it could lead to bad results. The official analysis of the Planck data was extremely careful, so any mistake would have to be very subtle. The authors of the new study redid part of the Planck analysis to claim this evidence for positive curvature, which the Planck team had themselves decided was not significant. So, did the new guys do a better job and prove everyone else wrong? That would be surprising because most data points to a flat universe. If this lensing signal is real, then maybe there's curvature.
Did he just say Israel? See what I did there?
Or maybe it's an indication of some unknown physics.
Oh, unknown physics. As will be discussed in my next book. That's right. Gonna resolve all of these things for these dim-dims.
In case of the discrepancy in the expansion rate, hidden physics is the great hope of many physicists.
Oh, they're gonna love me.
That missing physics could turn out to be the subtle clue needed to push our understanding of the universe to the next level. For example, if the expansion rate of the universe really has evolved, it may mean that the behavior of dark energy is changing, and that could reveal the true nature of dark energy. In fact, if the universe really is curved and closed, the discrepancy
Just like the evidence is not showing, but let's continue.
between the early universe and the modern expansion rates
Let's be clear. What they're saying is this. Bunch of scientists collected information, data from equipment, instrumentation, put it together in a model, and regardless of the model, the data alone says infinite. Another team came along and said, you could have made a mistake, in which case, might not be infinite. That's what all of this is about.
becomes even stronger. That's because the previous calculations of that discrepancy assumed a flat universe. So, physicists get even more excited if this result holds up. Okay, lots of ifs and buts, and that is okay,
No, it's not okay.
because that's how science works.
Oh, ifs and buts is how science works?
We are very careful about how we talk about confidence and proof.
And courage and braveness.
The new result opens a tantalizing new possibility and also hones in on the real physics of our universe, even if that means honing in on any errors we've made in our analysis.
The real physics of our universe, as opposed to the imaginary physics.
The tension between the Planck results and other cosmological measurements seems to be growing. The good news
Oh, will it be swords at dawn?
is that future missions will surely
Just thought I'd mention this. Kepler. Was it Kepler? Johann Kepler. Yes, he had a wooden nose, sometimes a golden nose. Yeah, he lost his nose in a duel. That's right. Somebody said, I think you're talking shit. How dare you, sir? Tomorrow at dawn. Where's my glove? Slap. You will pay for this. That ended up with no nose.
resolve it, perhaps identifying any errors, perhaps discovering the nature of dark energy.
Right, was it Kepler? I'm sure Glenn will correct me if it wasn't. Please do, if it wasn't.
And perhaps verifying the positively curved finite geometry of space-time. If you want to dive deep into understanding the building blocks of space-time, then you need to study quantum theory. Brilliant.org has a fun course called Quantum Objects that includes interactive challenges and problems to solve. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around quantum theory is to play with it. In this course, you can explore the experiments of quantum mechanics and use them to construct equations of motion, laws of physics, and systems of measurement based on the algebra of quantum theory.
See what I told you about algebra.
Effective learning is about problem solving. To learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/spacetime. Okay, so in the last episode we explored the scientific and philosophical implications of the anthropic principle. But before we get to that, I want to invite you to check out the Spacetime Discord, which which you can access with the lowest $2 Patreon tier.
The heck?
There are loads of people over there talking about all sorts of fascinating smart person stuff 24/7, as well as making suggestions.
Is this just, Gleam, is this just more adverts for the rest of it?
Show stuff who love talking about it's okay, find anthropic principle. Yitchins, isn't it weird that we happen to be in the first 100 billion? Well,
Right.
Weinberg's prediction of the cosmological constant years before dark energy was ever discovered. Speaking of next week, Vladimir postulates that if there are to be trillions or quadrillions,
Dark energy was not discovered. It was concluded. It was a logical conclusion. Therefore, there must be a dark energy.
of humans in future spacefaring civilizations,
Ah, forget it. Can't be bothered with the rest. Dude, Gleam, thank you very much. Tycho Brahe, thank you, sir. I knew you'd rescue me. Tycho Brahe, yes. Wait a minute. Don't tell me I wasn't displaying what I thought it was displaying. Yes, I was. Okay. There. Now I'm going to use a sheet to show infinite, flat, and yet warping. They showed it in one of them, like, but with lots of energy. It could be like, picture that this is just arbitrary edge for an infinite, flat, plane universe. It would take a godlike power to make that infinitely large universe go whoop and become a sphere. Nope, they would love it to become a sphere, but it just isn't, and it's never going to. Right, thanks, Gleam. That's it. Where are the dim-dims in the chat? Oh, whilst we were watching that, I thought of something else that I might play. Oh, yes, I remember now. Give me a second. This is so interesting. Because I've made a prediction about what I'm going to show. My prediction, and we're coming very close to it, 26th of December, the day after Christmas Day, for those in the West. An annular eclipse at the point where there's the most volatile magnetism on Earth here. I'm not going to play all of it because it's long. Now, interestingly, you might note that what I'm about to show shows a kind of map. This is roughly a map that mirrors that map of the cosmos. So, is it this one? Yes. It mirrors that map of the cosmos. That's right, you don't have to do much tweaking to it to make it into, well, a flat Earth observation. I mean, really, you don't need to do that much tweaking to it. In fact, I'm working on maps to show these things. Right, so let's play this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Over the southern hemisphere.
Oh, wait, dagnabbit. I'm going to display in the other style so you can see my cursor. There. Okay, play.
There. Let's have a look at the magnetic comparison then with the temperature of today across the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So on the left we've got temperature on the W3 expanded map, and on the right we've got magnetism in intensity on the W3 expanded map.
Now, I'm not going to play it all, okay, but this guy is pretty cool, okay? Maverick Star Reloaded. Now, I donate to them, and I encourage any of you guys who are interested in real-world observations, because these things are real-world observations. They're globe links, but it doesn't matter. They're still reporting real-world information, not just silly cosmology based on ideologies. Now, you see this shape here at the top, okay? temperature. This is basically over the globe Earth or over the flat Earth. This is what I'm going to transpose onto the flat Earth map. This shape is mirrored by this here. Okay, so very interesting. And this is magnetism, what this is showing. Okay, you see this region here, this area here. This is where there's going to be an annular eclipse on the 26th of December. Now, I'm hoping, because I don't think anybody's actually taken this data in. Oh no, actually there is. There was a team that was taking data of different levels of magnetism and other influences during eclipses. I forget who it was. If anybody remembers, please put it in the chat. Put the name of the channel or the videos. Right. Either the eclipse will balance energy here and separate this, making this region recede from this region, or it will do the opposite and make this region reach this region here. Now, where my cursor is right now, this was the epicenter of the tsunami that caused those hundreds of thousands of deaths in 2004. Just here, where my cursor is. The eclipse is going to come across here and go over the Mariana Trench, which is just here where my cursor is now. This is serious. And I'm hoping that what happens is a reprieve, that it helps to balance this out. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a bit chaotic. Now, just to point out, the reason this is happening here as opposed to anywhere else on Earth, the reason it's happening here is that this has a series of magnetic fractures, if you will, or big deviations and changes in the magnetic field. These are called the Wallace line. I saw a documentary on the Wallace line, by the way, on Wallace. Absolutely amazing, just really interesting. There's a series of fauna boundaries here, where birds don't cross, insects don't cross, and creatures just don't cross these boundaries. In this region, by the way, there's approximately 17,000 islands, okay, in this region alone. We see the major islands, 17,000 islands, okay? So when you hear, oh, Johnny Depp has bought an island, yeah, it's because there's a heck of a lot of islands here that you can just buy from the first pirate that sells it to you. So, and this area, by the way, is massively policed by the Americans and the Australians. That's right, this region here, okay? This is where there's going to be an eclipse. So now I will show you with time and date. "26th of December. You see, this is what I was just showing. This region here. Okay, that's this region here. An annular eclipse. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping that afterwards we will have a balancing here, a separation of these two areas, and a return of more sunspots, and it will call the end to the solar minimum. That's what I'm hoping. But I don't know. I really don't know. Right, so there you go. I thought I would share that with you. And now I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to put my hat on. My hair's looking like crap. Right, so. I'm going to come into the chat, see how everybody's doing. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah. Yes, it was the same day. Dan W. Just a coincidence. 2004. 26th of December 2004 was the great tsunami, the great earthquake that caused the tsunami. I'm just checking in the chat now. Hey Dan W, nice to see you. Zenboy 2000 is writing, you're suggesting a type of magnetically induced continental repositioning? No. A solar induced repositioning of the magnetic field, not a re-establishing of the continents. The continents do shift, but they take long periods, apart from when it happens kind of suddenly, you know. But it's never drastically huge shifts. It can be like devastating, but it doesn't happen that way, generally speaking. Rob Dissel, evening dude. How far back do you remember this Charlie character? I remember he doing the same thing he does now in 2016. We have answered that, etc. What Charlie character? Oh, is this Charlie guy in the chat? That guy? Yeah. Just, what can you say? Danny Diesel, did I see your latest video? I did not. Let me go and take a look. YouTube, magic accommodating wind, magic accommodating deviation. Is Charlie in the chat? Charlie, speak up if you're in the chat. Oh, Gleam, see it straight away. This is Axis of Evil in the CMB. Tycho Brahe. I knew it wasn't. Oh, there's Charlie. YouTube, really? Now you're making all sorts of claims about the conditions required. Care to back up any of those claims? Oh, Charlie. You can't do that when you don't back up any of your claims. Come on. Right, Danny Diesel. Sorry, I was going to go and check. Got sidetracked. Let me see. Latest video. New Orleans, if you need help, blink. I'm going to play this. Let me see. Wait a minute. Oof. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it without audio. I hope you don't mind. But I get flagged and I keep thinking, oh, one of these days somebody's going to object. Because right now they're saying, we're going to take ad revenue from you. Which I don't mind because I don't collect the ad revenue. It's just a little crafty little trick monetizing my channel. But I genuinely don't collect the ad revenue. I haven't gone through the rigmarole of actually establishing how to get it. It's a pain in the backside. I know from my previous channel, so I can't be bothered. So I get notifications for monetization when I've played somebody else's audio, especially songs. So I'm going to play this without the audio. And it's because I'm thinking it might get to a point where the person objects and forces me to take the whole video down and remove the audio, which has happened before to people. So here, I'm going to play it. Wait, I'm not displaying it yet. Sorry about that. Right, just a second. Just give me a second while I sort out pages. What's it? Oh, wait a second, I see a comment. YouTube, they claim the wind pushes aeroplanes faster eastwards as they fly to the equator, but then the wind would need to adjust for each plane's weight, shape, speed, latitude, altitude. They make all kinds of claims. They can't explain why you've got crosswinds, huge crosswinds, okay, like massive changes of direction, including literally 180 degrees. Of high-speed winds. If you look at the Loon projects and some of those, you'll see high-speed winds in opposite directions. Like, can't you explain that with your globe? Go ahead. Right, I was going to share the thing. Give me a second. Window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Danny Diesel's video. Here you are. Blink if you need help. I'm going to expand it and hit play. John C. Oddity is asking, if you go on the 10th, what's your plan? If I go where on the 10th? I don't get that. Oh, wait a second. Danny, is there other people talking? Let me check.
Who were shot.
Right, okay.
Though we do know that 2 are in critical condition. We have not been updated as far as what their condition is now. Again, this happened at 3:30 this morning. And as you might have seen yesterday, this area was pretty busy with people visiting for the Bayou Classic. It's also just a few blocks away from the Hard Rock Hotel collapse site.
Okay, Danny, I'm not going to play it all the way through because it's a massive jump from what we were talking about. But I'm going to paste a link to it in the chat and I will watch it afterwards as I'm unwinding. Okay, copy. Okay, so here's the link in the chat to the video that we were just watching. Also, I have no idea what's going on. Like, really, I don't. This is the first I hear of it. No idea whatsoever at all. Like, none. 3:30. 33. I bet Russian Vids is all over this. That clown foot. Gleam writes, I have thought about this before. As if the sun and moon are in close proximity, they will have tailwinds in both directions, creating mini cyclones. If you think of the sun and moon as vortices instead of physical bodies, then those vortices would also create cyclones or wake, and that would be Coriolis effect. The so-called meteorological Coriolis, not the fantastical Coriolis that doesn't really happen, that snipers don't have to adjust for, that pilots don't have to correct for. Oh, okay, Danny, look forward to seeing it. Just read what you've wrote. So that's the link again. Cleary writes, if the ball Earth is rotating eastward, then the jet stream is outpacing it by 150 miles per hour. Yeah, and that's the jet stream that's discussed. Other jet streams, so the video I was showing with the magnetism was talking about jet streams. That's what it was mainly talking about. How they've dropped off. The jet streams have dropped off. Wait a second, what's going on with my video? Yeah. We used to have 2 in the north. Now there's 1. Like very quickly, suddenly it's like, oh, what's going on? What's the big changes? My brother lives in the desert of Spain. They had 36 hours of torrential downpour last week. 36 hours of torrential downpour, and this is, if you've ever seen or been in torrential downpour, it's absolutely amazing. It's a kind of rain where you can't see across the street. That much rain, 36 hours of it, not normal for that region at all. Gleam, yes, get that, like a whirlpool creating other ones. Yeah. Gleam, July this year in the Mirror Rag, solar eclipse and Hurricane Barbara cross Earth at the same time, an amazing satellite footage. I haven't seen that. Let me see. I'm gonna have a look at this, and then I'm gonna bail because I'm fatigued. Oh, thanks. Oh, right, okay. Let's have a look. I was just taking a look. Let me see. Oh, this will be interesting. Is it a video? God, what a... They really can't get their graphics together, can they? So I've got all kinds of little weird things opening up. Mirror. The mirror infiltrating my computer. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to show it. Dude, guys, I am suddenly so fatigued. So I'm going to bail. Thanks everybody for watching. Like literally, thanks for watching. The next book is going to come along very soon. Because one of the things that's been slowing me was knowing how to start it. I know the bulk of what I want to say and how I'm going to say it in broad terms, but how to start. And I got it today. Talking with my niece, I got it. We were talking about it, and it just it came together. And it has a you know how the other book, I didn't say what it was called until it was finished. The Book of the Sun. And this one I played with different ideas. I discussed different things with people by email, and I had different ideas. The name of this next book is better than the first. It really is, especially considering the subject. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading it myself. When it's coming out, I'm looking forward. But anyway, okay. Some people are going to be saying, oh, it's possessed by demons. No, I'm inspired by the divine. There's an element of automatic writing. Like any writing, like there's an element of automatic writing. So yeah, but mainly it's all put together, I put it down, but from time to time it veers to a region and then comes back, and I think, what the hell, that was an interesting little detour. Right, folks, that's it. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I'm pretty sure we'll see you again after the cull. I don't really think the cull is going to happen. I think they might be referring to channels that really don't do anything, but also I think the analysts will be looking, going, it would take away all of the Flat Earth channels, all of the Globalink channels are going to suffer, and they're going to bring us, Google, less revenue. The Flat Earthers do bring some revenue. We'll get rid of the Flat Earthers, we'll lose that revenue, but also we'll lose revenue from the Globe Earthers. Best thing to do is keep the Flat Earthers. Sorry, Owen Benjamin. Right, thanks everyone. Adeu.